Hey everybody. All right, this is attempt number 2 of getting online with Team Jesus. So we're going to see if this works today. There I am. Okay. So, yeah, I tried something else and it did not come up on my other phone. So I thought, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a hold of whatever happened and not be like last week when everything just went crazy. So, there I am. Looks like I'm looking at you. Looks like my hat's on a little crooked, huh? All right. But today is chapter 12 of Proverbs. Today is the 12th of December. And we are looking at more ingredients for wisdom. Now, as you're getting wisdom, think of it as like being in an oven. The oven of God. When, we've all heard the adage, yep, we can, when God takes it's like a photography. God takes a negative, shines his light through it, and it becomes a positive. And so we love to use that as an example. Because everything negative, God can turn around. I'm using an oven today because I want you to be cooked. That's right. Now, I'm not talking toasted. I'm talking cooked. And when you get something cooked, you have to apply heat. And this is where wisdom comes in. This is where your growth as a Christian comes in. And that is, you've got to apply heat. That's how things get cooked. That's how things increase in temperature so they can be properly consumed. Nobody eats a raw apple pie. Everybody cooks it. In the same way, I want you to see that God has prepared an oven for us called the earth. This life in general is an oven. And in this oven, he has placed us. And the oven is not the issue. Now, the oven has everything needed to properly cook us. But working the dials and the temperatures and how long we're in and what settings we're on, that's kind of like up to God, which we pray about. Now, think of this oven as being something that is going to apply heat to your life. That's not always what we want. I am sure that, whether it's a chicken, a turkey, or a roast, it wasn't like, oh, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a roast, Not every cow says that. But that is their calling. That is their point of existence. And so to them, it is an accomplishment to be that chicken leg, that roast, whatever. That's what they came here to do. And they are honored for it. The cows, the meat, everything, it's here for us and to do their part in taking care of us and helping us grow and move on to eternity. So how do you measure this? Well, your wisdom is a sample of your temperature. When you don't overreact, or when you do overreact, that lets you know that something's going on with your temperature, something's going on with you that you don't know. Let me turn this, make sure I don't put that. Okay, that you have your you're being tested. And so, how do we have that? Well, I want to use an example here that I brought with me that just seemed to jump out at me today as something I needed to take with me when I was going to do my teaching. And I thought, really? Well, I noticed it. I don't notice it all the time. So, okay, I'll take it. And then when I was looking up my scripture and all that and had it sitting right there on the table, I said, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to say. But then it dawned on me, well, use this earth your earth is the earth is the oven, the place where you have been placed to be transformed. Transformed from what? Well, from goo and mess and DNA and nerves and fibers? No. To be you are a complete spirit when you got here. When you were born, you had a complete soul, a complete spirit. It's just your flesh that was the new suit you were putting on. So you're wearing this flesh suit. You're born into this world. Then the oven turns on. Now, what I have here is a cooking thermometer right there, and it is, I'm going to read off to you what's in there, what they are. What they are is they are beef rare, beef medium, beef, pork, and veal well, then there's lamb, and then there's poultry at the top. And at 185 degrees. This thermometer is like wisdom. It is telling you where you're at on your progression to being done. And being done would be the end of your life. So whether the end of your life is right away, or whether your end of life is 103 years, of course, that's partially our will, that's partially God's will, because this is how the oven works. So what is the temperature we want? How do we understand our temperature? How do we understand what we're doing? We have a moment to express a lifetime of wisdom. So when you accumulate wisdom, it is like a battery. You charge it and you charge it and you charge it. And then one day, somebody taps into it. A situation taps into it. Someone asked me a question the other day, and I don't even remember the answer, but I was thinking about it a minute ago. And the answer came from something I had been through. It was about wooden floors. And I said, well, what's going on is that someone did a poor recoating of this floor. Now, a commercial floor that you get from the factory, you can put tape on that floor and pull that tape up, and it's not going to pull the clear coat off. But if you do another coat on top of that, that coat's not going to adhere, and it's going to pull up. And so I was dealing with a situation about clear coat and things on the floor. What came out of me was stored up in my battery, in the battery of wisdom. So what put that wisdom in there was having to go through something with working as a wood floor guy, working a wood floor, learning as I was going, things I've learned as I've used and dealt with wood floors and things like that. What I've learned and what I've known that what I know now is an accumulation. So it's like the heat of the oven. So the wisdom changes you, it fills you, and then you have to let it out. So in our life, if the earth being an oven is taking us up to a temperature where we are lukewarm and then warm and then hot and then, on fire. Oh, well, yeah, you don't want what you're cooking to be on fire. But that's what wisdom is all about, is being able to use what you've been given. Now, that's where I try to help people understand, and even I'm still working on it, the access of wisdom. Because, the Bible says, get wisdom, get knowledge, get education, get. But, okay, so I know a lot of people who went to college, and they don't know anything. They They might know one little thing that they studied or something like that, but they didn't make a living out of it. They didn't end up doing what they wanted to do with their life because it didn't accumulate. It didn't heat them up to the usable. Obviously, when you are eating a roast, you want to heat it up to where the meat is cooked. When it said here on the thermometer, it said certain temperatures were certain types of cooked. And then the highest one being poultry, turkey, chicken of 185 degrees. Well, why 185 degrees? Have you ever asked yourself, have you ever known why you have to do meat to a certain temperature and then, but poultry and turkey have to be 185 degrees? Do you know why that is? It has to do with the meat itself. I would say contaminants, the pollution that is in meat. You have to get that meat to a temperature that would kill any parasite or any bacteria or any issue that meat has. And believe me, people talk about you can shoot a wild turkey, but you really can't. You can hunt them and you can shoot them, and I wouldn't eat one. They're out there with the parasites. They're out there with everything in those woods. They're not clean like the butterball turkeys you get from the grocery store. They're in a very sanitary environment, and their meat is clean. But when wild turkey, man, I don't know. It would be very difficult for me to do that, knowing what could live in that meat, whether it's meat or pork. I mean, both of those have to be heated up really high to get them clean. So now we're back to the oven of this earth. Why does God put some people through things that he doesn't put other people through, or allow them to go through, as some say, or put them through? Why? Yeah, I'll tell you why. It's because he's trying to get out of them the unclean thing, the bacteria, the parasite, whatever would be harmful to others. And as soon as I almost can think of that God, turns the oven on up to 400 degrees. But once he sees what's in the oven is starting to cook and is starting to get close to being done, he turns that temperature down and says, okay, this is almost ready. This is almost ready. I don't have to cook this so high. But then there's that other piece of meat, that tough piece of meat, old buffalo, old tough guy, who's got pride and anger and issues and all that kind of stuff. God's going to let that oven get hotter and hotter to break through those contaminants, to make, because, okay, I feel sorry for the turkey. I feel sorry for the chicken, the pork. It's not, sorry about that. I was a little yawn there trying to come on me. It's not their fault. It's just cooking. But if as a human being cooking something and you know that you could possibly catch trichina worm or something like that if you don't heat it up hot enough. So God allows this earth to be an oven and heat us up to make us ready for what's next. I mean, if you're thinking, oh, well, I'm on this earth and be a Christian or not a Christian or whatever, and then I die and it's over. No, God did not create one world in this universe for us to exist in, and then we live, die, and that's it. And there's just too many integral parts of our body. It would take too long. I mean, it would take millions of years to develop where we are over again. No, this is a creation. This is God's something. This is just a testing ground here on earth. Just a testing ground. And we're being heated up in order to be cleansed of everything from this earth, cleansed and be free from all the contaminants and the parasites of this earth, of even our own flesh, so that we can progress through death to the next level. Because it's really not us that's dying, it's just this flesh we're living in. I've always used the example of if I cut a hand off, that hand does not flop around in pain. It just lays there. It's been cut off. It doesn't have any emotions or any feelings. It just lays there. Now, the person that lost that hand, that's a different story. Those nerves in that wrist are going to be communicating up to the brain that there's a serious problem here, that there's a lot of pain here. We're in danger here of bleeding. We're in danger here of losing our life. We're in danger, Will Robinson. That's what the wrist is going to be saying. But the hand isn't saying a thing. The hand's not talking at all. So, why? Because it's lost its connection. It's lost its connection. So your wrist is speaking to you about what's going on. Go to the hospital, sew it back on, rescue this situation. But it's also saying that this is just a body you're living in. Okay? And if you were to lose your arms, your legs, and all that, you would still be you. You'd just be laying in a bed, second base. You'd be laying in a bed. And you couldn't do anything, but you would still be you. So what about when your whole body is dead and dried up? You will still be you. And where you're at that point is what you decide during this lifetime. Where you're at in the next life is you decide now. Because the only thing that's holding you back from the next life and the better thing and heaven and everything that God has planned for you is this body. So God has arranged for you to be in a place that heats up this body, heats up this flesh, heats up this thing to cleanse out of you and to prepare you, to bake you, to properly bring you to the temperature where you can move to the next level, where you can then, come out of the oven and be a finished product that God can use. And I think that's awesome. That's the desire of my life, to be used, for God to do something with me that nobody else can do. Let's find out how much of this is in Proverbs 12. All right, so Proverbs 12. Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge. But he who hates correction is stupid. Now, what is the difference between ignorant and stupid? Ignorant can learn. Stupid can't. A good man obtains favor from the Lord, but a man of wicked intentions, God will condemn him. A man is not established by his wickedness, but the root of the righteous cannot be moved. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband. She who causes shame is like a rottenness in the bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceitful. The words of the wicked one are lie and wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright will deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. A man will be commended according to his wisdom, but he who is of perverse heart will be despised. I'd rather be commended than despised. Better is the one who is slighted, but has a servant, than he who honors himself, but lacks bread. Better is the one who is slighted, meaning lied about, gossiped about, but has a servant. Of course, that would be a measure of a place in society back then, to have a servant. A righteous man regards the life of his animal, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Even the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He who fills his hand will be satisfied with bread. He who follows frivolity is devoid of understanding. The wicked covet the catch of evil, but the root of righteousness yields fruit. The wicked is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous will come through trouble. A man will be satisfied with the good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands will be rendered unto him. That's really good, because that's talking about the man who is satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth. And recompense of a man's hands will be rendered to him. And then it says in 12, the root of the righteous yields fruit. So you see, the recompense of a man's hands will be rendered to him. But a good man is satisfied by the good fruit of his mouth. The way of a tool, the way of a fool, sorry, I've got my different glasses on today. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is known at once, but a prudent man covers shame. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness, deceit. There is one who speaks like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health. Truthful lips shall be established forever, but the lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. No grave trouble will overtake the righteous, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully in all his delight. But those who deal truthfully are his delight. A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of a fool proclaims foolishness. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy man will be put to forced labor. Anxiety in the heart of a man causes depression, but a good word can make it not be glad. Let me read that again. The lazy man will be put to forced labor. Anxiety in the heart of a man causes depression, but a word makes it glad. So, got to stay away from anxiety. Causes depression. You know, it's like, you could go into some psychiatrist or some therapist and spend $300 to have them say, oh, yeah, you've got depression. Yeah, you need to do something about that. and of course, you just paid him to tell you exactly what Proverbs says. So, looking back. Oh, that's the end. So, a lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence of a man is precious in the sight. No, it's precious possession. In the way of the righteousness, and the way of righteousness is life, and in pathways there is no death. In the way of righteousness is life. In its pathway there is no death. Isn't it funny? I was talking about a roast, and there it is. A lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting. So, the way of the wicked leads them astray. How do we help people? We can't just say, do the right thing, do the right thing. I was kind of raised in that kind of mentality. Do it right. Be right. What's the matter with you? Can't you do that right? Do that right. And of course, when you're a kid, you don't know how to do anything right. And so you just, do your best and then take your licks for not doing it right. But doing it right doesn't take information. It takes application. I think that's why a lot of people that I've been around, that they freak out about fire, they freak out about water, they freak out about anything that's going on. They just get all dumbfounded and stand there. And because I was in the military and I've been through training and things like that, I tend to act faster. Not fast enough, but I do act faster than some people. And I do talk to them as little as possible when it comes to their advice. But anyhow, I wanted to share this with you so that you would have a proverb and an ingredient to wisdom. And the ingredient today is reading Proverbs and getting wisdom from there. What a man is, what a man isn't, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. These are ingredients to wisdom. And a lot of times applying these ingredients is not easy. But that brings us back to the oven. You see, this wisdom, this reading of Proverbs, and then the heat of the oven is like the basting on a turkey. It is like the butter in the bowl. It's something that becomes a part. It changes shapes. It becomes a thing. I would definitely recommend, having a good conversation before you get married by yourself. Do I want to get married? Because you'll find that when you want something, you don't realize what you can. Well, that's not really where I want to go. I'm not a marriage counselor, and there's enough stuff going on right now where I can tell you I never will be. But watching everything that's on television right now. So that's it. I want you to realize that the oven is taking the wisdom and the ingredients and the learning and hardening and cooking you to the right temperature, a perfect golden brown, so that you can be used of God, that you can be a part of his kingdom. Don't feel like it's hot in here or it's too much or this or I can't do this anymore, because that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is what God has assigned us and given us to do, and to do it. But he needs us. He needs us. So I think that'll do. All right, so bless you. I love you. Remember, Jesus loves you more. And we'll have some live streams and some pop-ups and some painting giveaways and some moon pie giveaways and Buc-ee's giveaways. And we're glad you're here to participate with us and to be a blessing. Don't forget to watch the, the back ones, the playlist. Go to the playlist when you first open it up. Go to the playlist and enjoy a movie. So anyway, thank you. Happy you're here. We'll see you next time.